Thanks for joining us. 5 and 5 covers 5 news items of the day in 5 minutes. Clock is ticking. Let's get started. 1. More protests from Iran. Since December, Iranians have been voicing their disapproval of President Rouhani and Ayatollah Khamenei, citing government corruption. Over the last few days, as a response to the devaluation of Iranian currency, rising prices, and water shortages, protests and rallies have erupted across the country. The value of the rial has halved over the last 4 months and continues to lose value, despite the regime's efforts to prop it up. This just days ahead of renewed U.S. sanctions, which are planned to start on August 6th. Adding to regional tensions, Iran is planning a major military exercise in the Gulf within the next 48 hours. U.S. CENTCOM confirmed the activity of the Iranian Navy and stated they are monitoring the situation closely. The relationship between Iran and the U.S. is a complicated one, marked by the 7 countries in 5 years plan and Operation Ajax. Could true peace and stabilization come to Iran next? We encourage you to do your own research and check out the links below.
2. This is Redcord, and I have to admit that we here at Kitchen Table Media have been doing you a great disservice. Although the topic comes up almost daily when discussing headlines, we really haven't reported on any of the child sexual assault cases in the news. Partly because there are plenty of stories we think you should know, but mostly I don't want to have to do the research on such heinous behaviors. When the Catholic Diocese of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania released a list of those they've investigated, the first of what's slated to be many more reports in PA alone, I knew I had to mention it. A quick search of child sexual assault in the news over the past 7 days made my head spin, especially when I came across this. Looking at the statistics for child sexual abuse, the magnitude is 1 in 10 children will be sexually abused by the age of 18. No matter how much we'd like to, we can't ignore the problem. Below is a plethora of links to some of those news articles. They span the globe. People from the clergy to teachers, policemen to medical professionals, and so many more are included. While I'm gonna need some eye bleach, and maybe some brain bleach too, this is a pandemic that's being underreported. We here at KTM will do our best not to let stories like these go unnoticed anymore. Biblically speaking, there is nothing new under the sun. This depravity has existed and continues to exist to this day. Like cockroaches to light, it needs to be exposed, and it must be dealt with in society as, quote, those in power seek to normalize this behavior, which is well underway. Where will you stand in this fight against evil?
3. An update on the migrant crisis in Europe. In France, a volunteer group who provides help and food for migrants in Paris said they would have to stop their work. Due to the friction between the homeless drug addicts and the growing migrant population, the pro-migrant group is apprehensive of placing themselves in harm's way. In 2017, the number of migrants within France reached 100,000. Milestone for Italy. For the first time in 10 years, an Italian ship has returned migrants to Libya. What's been happening in the Mediterranean Sea is traffickers' boats leave Africa, and once outside the zone covered by the Libyan Navy, sends out a distress call. Italian ships or other NGO vessels rescue the migrants aboard and transport them to the European mainland. In Monday's incident, the vessel Lasso 28 rescued 108 migrants, roughly 57 nautical miles from Tripoli, and promptly returned them back to the Libyan port. Per the usual, open border activists and globalists are up in arms citing the violation of international law. Meanwhile, Italy's Deputy Prime Minister Matteo Salvini is saying non è vero, the violation of international law claim is a false one.
4. Wolverine here. What I'm about to explain is a little bit of family history. My wife, Lady Hilarious, happens to work at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And today, she had an interesting happening, or what the local news called an incident. Seems they were practicing a live shooter incident, and then one actually happened in the middle of their exercise. Multiple agencies were called in for assistance. My wife and her team that works in her office had to barricade in place. That's pretty much all you're going to hear on the local news, except for those Solinsky-ites that showed up to say that we need more gun control. When you look at the news, keep us in your prayers. Wolverine out.
5. Big shocker from Venezuelan President Maduro. He says the socialist model has failed. The crisis that has overcome Venezuela did not happen overnight. This socialist nightmare has been years in the making. First, starting with the installation of the Bolivarian Revolution. That's basically the left-wing populism social movement. And this is when Hugo Chavez took power. Initially, it seemed grand. Chavez nationalized various industries and funneled that cash into social programs. Eventually, the money ran out via economic decline and government corruption. When Maduro came to power, he doubled down on the socialist plan of spending money instead of making money. As a result, Venezuela's economy has collapsed and its people survive in horrific conditions. Those who can have left the country for the US, Spain, Colombia, and Brazil. We here at Kitchen Table Media are wondering, are the Dems paying attention? That's the 5 and 5 for August 2nd, 2018. Be sure to further your own research by following the links in the description. And don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.